Public meeting. This is the Air Conservation Commission. It is January 22nd, 2015. We're here in beautiful Air Town Hall in this main meeting room. I did speak to Carly about that earlier.
And I had earlier
She told me.
to her and Robert at the same time.
I just let her know that it's uncomfortable for folks if it keeps moving around, and I'm afraid that someone will miss a meeting, and that was the only idea. It has to be in a place.
So other than next, on the 12th, we're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Mass development.
Yeah.
Close. Excellent. Would you all please join me in a pledge of allegiance to our nation's flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Jess, why don't we confirm the agenda? We've noted that, did you tell Dawn at 7:45, or what time did you tell him to come in?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So let's move our Pingree Hill to 8:05, and we're adding Dawn Price from Patriot Way, a field change on an existing order of conditions at 8 p.m.
Right. The only other thing I would think of would be, we did get just yesterday response from the Attorney General's office about the open meeting law complaint.
Okay.
So that's in your packets. So if you wanted to add that in to discuss tonight, or...
No, that's perfect. Let's put that in discussions. Say it's in here? Ah, here we go. All right, so we'll do, after fixed asset update, we'll do open meeting law complaint. Great. Anybody else have any other changes? Or I'm going to cross off the DEP wetland regulation review by Ms. Curtis.
She's not here.
She's not here. All right. George, any changes? No. Takashi?
No.
I would accept a motion to approve the meeting agenda as modified.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. All right. For the purposes of stating it out loud, we are shy a member tonight, but we do have a quorum, so that's not an issue. All right, it is 7:10. We have just enough time to touch on a meeting minute approval. What's your revised 513731? Or is that an S? 8675309.
I was thinking of, should we put in there, presented the revised SK drawing 513731?
Perfect. No, that's perfect. No, if there's a number for it, let's put it in. That's great. Okay. I don't have any changes. Lisa? I would accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended to include the SK drawing note and as excellently prepared.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have 2 more minutes. Do we have any announcements? Or actually, let's do any bills to pay?
Just one. We don't pay the whole bill because we were late on getting some in because of tardy checks, but we do have the funds now to pay just the one in yellow.
The 6623? Yep, that's fine.
The outstanding balance should now have been paid or be about to be paid by the towns.
Well, the 282 isn't always just us, so.
Right.
Okay, so there's an amount here for $66.23, and that's for the Family Dollar application. You have the check for that?
we've gotten that check.
Excellent. All right. And have we seen this before? We saw the proof that it was published?
Yeah,
Is that what those are?
I've got that.
Thank you very much.
I was going to hand that over tonight.
No, that's perfect. Okay, I'm just going to tuck that in here with this because that obviously needs to stay together. So, and you have the cancel check for sure on this one. Okay, so we have a advertisement with the Sun newspaper to pay for $66.23. It's for the Family Dollar. We have the check, we have the proof. I would accept a motion to pay $66.23 to the Sun newspaper.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. I'll let you go first, and I'll pass it to George. All right, that's accounts payable, and that brings us right to 7:15. Let's reopen our public hearing for amended notice of intent for the Willow subdivision, 100-0288. We have a review of the draft amended order of conditions. I saw the emails go back and forth. DeShang, are you comfortable with the final information?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And Jess, you have it all?
Yeah, so the final information was our signature sheet.
Thank you.
Final information incorporates, Shane, you gave me a figure today for
Yeah.
the buffer zone
Right,
distance.
the buffer zone is not that swale.
Yeah.
Shortest one, 28 feet,
Yeah,
pretty much already disturbed.
and I added that in.
Beautiful.
So,
Okay.
And the date of the ballot is like December 1st,
Thank you.
2015 for the current order extended. by 60 days.
Yeah, that should be on one of the pages inside.
Great.
your
We've got all the
slides.
permanent temp. Beautiful.
Put that in.
Yep, 12/1/2015. Perfect. Okay. So we have our amended order of conditions. We have our attachments with our special conditions, and we're in the same place. Okay. Takashi, did you have anything left to speak about on this?
Did not.
Did you, George?
No.
Okay. Jess?
No.
Mr. Brown, do you have any final comments to make before we approve this?
Yes, I do. I've had a chance to review it, and there's about 5 areas that need clarification. One of which is that the area of the riverfront that is stated in this draft order of conditions doesn't really say that it supersedes the existing order. It shows as an amendment, an amended order, and the figures for riverfront areas, the totals, 126,000.
Mm-hmm.
They've already used up 26,000, plus it should be for the 16,000 and the 9 and the 7. So it should be much more in addition to that, because what this is doing is negating the original order of conditions, the one that's standing there now.
Well, actually, that area was counted in the area that would be affected from the beginning, so there was no change to the riverfront area.
The current is-
Because remember, as presented in their original application, the work that was done over in that area was figured in as part of the riverfront alteration. When they did their original work over there, they counted that area. That was one of the arguments that the applicant made to us on the first night.
Well, the area that was altered was the roadway itself.
No, sir. Also the area where the trees were cut down beside the unit in the area that we're talking about. That area wasn't cleared before, and it was cleared for the purpose of additional work at the beginning of the project.
Which was mitigation work.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, that's only the 9,000 that we're talking about. And the 7,000 was for the existing buildings that are there now. Plus, there was the mitigation area was supposed to have been planted, et cetera, and that's the 8,732 or something like that, where the 9,000 comes from.
No,
But
I appreciate,
those aren't totaled in, so this 126 and the 16, 9, and 7 are not tying into the existing order of conditions, is my point.
Well, I appreciate your opinion, but our opinion was that the original 16,000 and the way that it was described to us by the applicant, that it made sense based upon what they had for their square footage. But please continue.
The second thing is that you checked off that the not subject to stormwater standards. This is a 3-unit building, not a single family, so it is subject to Massachusetts stormwater standards.
I agree with that. Maybe I overlooked that. Though we are subject to, this is part of the whole subdivision was
Okay.
the stormwater, should be subject to stormwater management standard because that's why we are
It's on
not.
page 7, number 19. So it should be, instead of checking off 2, it should be checked 1 is subject to Massachusetts stormwater standards.
I would agree with that. So, yeah, we are, that's why we are.
Okay.
We went through that.
Appreciate the update. Thank you.
All right, and then the other thing too is that there are no mitigation measures in here that tie into the existing order of conditions. So that, and this was a point that I had made a long time ago, that what they're doing is they're taking the area where mitigation measures should have been installed, and they're doing away with that. So that's a negative taking away of mitigation areas, and then they're only proposing 1,800 square feet of mitigation, which doesn't tie in with the area they're using plus the mitigations that they're removing. So they're not adding additional. So that figure, those figures are really improper as well.
Well,
They
To go
should be-
backwards, the mitigation in that area was not, under the original application, the mitigation that was to happen in that area, and Deshang, catch me up if I miss it, was for removal of vegetation in that area, but it wasn't, the mitigation in that area wasn't to create a basin or to create an area, it wasn't to be left in perpetuity as part of the application. That area, the mitigation that was in that area wasn't such as a stormwater detention basin or some other form
No,
of...
It was plantings. It was actually supposed to be plantings, which hadn't been done yet. And under the original order, there was 8,000 somewhat, almost 9,000 square feet of mitigation, and it spells out right on the plan the type of vegetation, the trees, the spacing, the different mitigation species to remove the vegetation that is not approved.
Mhm.
And that was never done, but that's the area that you are now using with the 3-unit building. And you're not offering more mitigation equal for the new building. So we're missing both components by utilizing that space. So that's another thing that this doesn't clarify that. This doesn't extend what you're doing on the existing order of conditions.
All right, so hold on a second. Do you have a, no, let me finish,
I do
please.
have the original special conditions that we attached,
The original, from the original.
from the original.
Right.
I'm assuming you don't have the plan with you.
No, I could run upstairs and get that.
There are some plans that were part of the original order, and they show a table.
Well, hold on,
That area.
hold on, Mr. Brown. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Do you want me to go up and get
I think we need to go up and get them, so we can solve this in one shot here.
Those are the plans that I had asked for copies for, Jesse? Okay. Okay, I have two other things that are...
Well, if you don't mind, why don't we wait for Jess to come back, only because she's an important member of the commission and I don't want her to miss what you have to say. We'll just give her a second. She'll be right back.
All right.
All right, so, Mr. Brown, so per the discussion, you were indicating that this area would be clear to the species, loam seeded and planted per table 1, and that is accurate, that this needs to be, that this mitigation area would need to be cleared of invasive species. There was a plan provided to loam seed and provide shrubs. which was provided by the applicant. There's also a section over behind the units 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40.
Right.
So Mr. Brown is saying
Okay,
is that this area here, which we agreed was to be cleared for invasive species,
okay.
but there was also a table provided by the applicant that those trees and shrubs would be planted per that spec.
So the seed mix may be,
No, it says, loamed and seeded and planted, see Table 1. So Table 1 is the mitigation area planting specs. 6 feet on center with the shrubs and trees 15 feet.
okay.
Which plan is this, Bill?
This is sheet 8 of 8. Plan number, although that could apply to all of them, is Lima 9166.
Yeah, that's probably a wetland. I was not realized that one is for that function, so we probably can either move to here. This I remember when we were doing the violation, started the whole perimeter of that siltation basin was created there. It's all full invasive species, so it can be easily relocated to here. Don't mind, I take the car.
I was going to say, at this point, there's like 6 of these in here. You could probably just take one. Do you have any problem with me? Take that. Why don't you take that one right there?
Seven?
Yep. That's from you, so I'll mix that in. You and me. Okay. All right, so Mr. Brown, your first item was the riverfront area question, which we feel the applicant has answered with the areas that were described originally. Your second point was the single-family versus 3 housing unit, which is correct. It should have been checked as 1, not 2. So we'll address that. Your third item with regard to the shrubs, That was an offer by the developer, and we will hold them to it. So we will ask that the developer recreate that area in that same square area in a different area, so that they meet the same objective. The objective, as discussed in the letter, was that it was to provide shrubbery in the riverfront area. And there are other parts of the parcel where they could meet that same objective. So we'll look for that from the applicant as well.
Okay, but the second part of that is that with the advent of the new building within the 200 foot, that they need to have mitigation in addition to that. That mitigation was from before.
Well,
So
I'm not sure that I agree with you there, only because no, wrong one. This one.
What are you reading from?
This is the supplemental mitigation measures as submitted by Mr. Gensel of David E. Ross on October 17th, 2005. Says, it was agreed during the discussion that additional regions would be cleared of invasives and would be replanted with a herbaceous, shrub, and tree layer with an adequate loam base. These areas would also act to offset the square footage of additional housing units in the riverfront and would cover areas within 200 feet, the applicable riverfront performance standards. These areas are hatched and labeled on the plan. So it wasn't the idea was to use that space for the shrubbery, for the herbaceous shrub and tree layer.
all right. Well, okay, then what, in your form, under the inland resource area impact, you've got 1,840 square feet proposed replacement and permitted replacement. That, I assume, is additional mitigation.
What page are you on, sir?
On your page 3 of 12.
Okay.
So that should be additional mitigation for what's proposed with the 3-unit buildings.
Can you tell me again which line you're on? Under
Under
riverfront
9
area?
Riverfront
Yeah,
area,
right?
under the third column over, proposed
Replacement, right?
And then under permitted replacement, that means you're agreeing with that figure.
Right?
But there should be 1,840 additional square feet of mitigation.
So, Mr. Brown, that's what I put it there. That's, I guess if there's any misunderstanding, it could be on my part. So I didn't realize this is for already part of the mitigation area. So I was trying to mitigate beyond the 100 foot, within the 100 foot riverfront area, which is already hatched area. That's the 1840 square feet.
Okay.
So that's area we are not going to be altering. So we could add in that 1480 into the same square
Well,
foot.
so what I think we need to have is a calculation of that area because,
Right.
Mr. Brown, if you look on that plan, and Desheng, if you can bring that over to show Mr. Brown,
Yes.
there are actually 2 hatched areas on the plan. There's the hatched area where the new building would be located,
Right.
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 but there's
That's
also an extended hatched area,
Yeah,
which is over here.
right.
So
This area will
whether,
not be
this
ordered.
wouldn't be the entire 1840, it would be the 2 areas or some combination of the 2. So we need a calculation from Desheng on that area to discuss replication.
Right, and so
Okay.
I can propose, so basically we'll tentatively, we probably get to making this area, so. we have-
Well, no, that's not my point. My point is that this new unit building, putting in another 1840 mitigation area.
No, Mr. Brown, that's what I'm saying. He needs to calculate it for us because the 1840 is included in both of those hatched areas, not just in the area under the footprint that we're discussing. The other hatched area is the area I just pointed out to you on the map. So the 1,840 square feet is not just the area underneath this building, it's also in that other area. It states it explicitly on the plan that the replication area is the two hatched.
Right. The 7,000, the 900, the 9,000, this was the 7,000. They have under the column, and so you're extending this is an amended order, you're extending it to add another 1,840 needed, and my contention is that you don't have enough room to do that mitigation,
No, we
and
don't.
you're not showing
No.
1,840.
I said that number I provided was this triangle area, beyond the 100-foot, within the 100-foot square, riverfront area. It's not for this square footage of the building. So this one so we did some plantings here, the new plantings.
Well, this-
So I didn't realize we have this plan, so we need to plant already, so we need to get it.
Is this the 1840?
That's it.
That's the 1840.
Because that's the surface area. So since we have to plant it according to this one, we have to put that plant somewhere where we did do an mitigation. That's the point. That's
So
all.
you're going to have to apply for that then as well.
It's part of the mitigation plan.
Another step.
No, it's just the revision of plan, so the way we have to provide the one, we cannot, if that area already require shrubby planting, I cannot plant in there twice. So it means we have to
Right.
find another place for it. That's, I agree with
And you
that.
haven't identified that yet.
Right, we have to put on, and it seems like you have to get, revise the mitigation area for
All right. And then the other areas that I have direct concern as one of the trustees, the ad hoc trustees, is that under your attachment A, special conditions, you are going to have future, it says applicant shall maintain or shall, no, let me get the exact wording. This condition shall survive the issuance of the certificate of compliance.
Which condition?
Which condition?
Okay, the ones that are going to be problematic are going to be use of herbicides.
Please list the number, sir. It's just the easiest way.
It is, too much at the end here. Sodium chloride. So we won't
What's
be able
the
to-
number, please, Mr. Brown?
Okay, let's see, the first one that I come to here is, okay, 58. It's on page 8 of 9 on yours.
Yep. No sodium chloride shall be used within 100 feet of a resource area or within 200 feet of a perennial stream. Condition shall survive the issuance of the certificate of compliance.
Right, that's the road in front of this building.
Yes, sir.
And it's also the road all the way out to Willow, because all of that is within 200 feet of the Venice Brook. So we're not going to be, as a future trustee, we're not going to be able to use any salt on that area, which is very dangerous because that does salt, that does ice up right now. So that's number one. Number 60 is the same thing, no organic, non-organic fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. And those are used for the lawn areas, et cetera, plus fertilizers for this mitigation area. They're probably going to want to fertilize the bushes every now and again to maintain those.
Whenever
The
that
blueberry-
one is
high
done,
blueberry?
no, whenever that's done, you don't want to put any
Okay, but
herbicide or.
Number
fertilizer.
60 is a problem for future,
It says organic fertilizers can be used.
non-organic.
Correct. It says that organic fertilizers may be used.
Okay, they're not using organic fertilizers. 61 is the same thing. 61 is the same thing. 62 is the same thing. 63 is the same thing. 64 is the same thing. 65 is the same thing. 66 is the same thing. 67 is the same thing. 68 is the same thing. 69 is the same thing. 70 is the same thing. 71 is the same thing. 72 is the same thing. 73 is the same thing. 74 is the same thing. 75 is the same thing. 76 is the same thing. 77 is the same thing. 78 is the same thing. 79 is the same thing. 80 is the same thing. 81 is the same thing. 82 is the same thing. 83 is the same thing. 84 is the same thing. 85 is the same thing. 86 is the same thing. 87 is the same thing. 88 is the same thing. 89 is the same thing. 90 is the same thing. 91 is the same thing. 92 is the same thing. 93 is the same thing. 94 is the same thing. 95 at this point. So, anywhere, it's all the chemical.
Correct. They're not, but they could use organic fertilizers, right?
And then 62 is any maintenance, notified any maintenance function that may impact wetlands or also within the 200 foot. So that if anything has to be done to those particular units that are proposed, we're going to have to keep coming back to conservation in the future for any maintenance on that.
Actually, it says any maintenance functions that may impact wetlands. It doesn't say any maintenance, such as painting or repairing a roof. It says any maintenance functions that may impact wetlands.
Right, yeah,
Well,
that's what I understand.
Okay, what about repair of the decks and things like that?
That's not.
Well, considering they don't impact the wetland, I would say that would be fine.
They're not increasing.
However, if you had to dig up and replace a footing, that would impact the wetland.
Right.
And any person in the town of Ayer who was near a wetland, who was doing that kind of excavation, would have to come before this commission under the state law, so that's appropriate.
Okay, and 52 is also, all of these conditions that survive.
So let's talk about what 52 is. We've covered every one of them. So 52 is no work or alteration, including but not limited to removal of standing or fallen trees or vegetation, except as approved by the commission. So what's the issue with that one, Mr. Brown?
There are some trees that need to be taken down in that area that are dead, et cetera, and potentially could fall on the unit
Correct?
proposed. So every step along the way, we're going to be saddled with coming back to the commission on that particular unit.
It's not just that particular unit. It would be any tree in the area that was affected, including the units that are down below. The idea is that if you need to perform maintenance or you need to do work that's in those buffer zone areas, that you would come back to the commission to discuss it. Most of the time, what we've done, especially with dead trees, if there's a removal process, is the person who has the issue, in this case it would be the housing group once you're formed, would come and talk to our conservation administrator, who would come out and take a look. We've had many instances where the conservation administrator says, yep, that's not an issue. And we've had other issues where the tree, for instance, was in the wetland and we've had to have other considerations made. That's all it's referring to, Mr. Brown. And that would be your requirement under the law anyway.
Well, it's going to be a burden on it because this is the only building that's going to be within the 200 feet
No.
of
No.
the river. Yes.
No.
There aren't any others that are within the 200 feet.
Yes, no buildings.
The building that's right next door is within the 200
Yeah,
feet.
Well, a portion of it, right. The closer unit is within it.
And we're not just talking about the riverfront area, Mr. Brown, we're also talking about the fact that down lower on the project, there are wetlands in behind. And so other work that would happen on the rest of the project that would be in the wetlands would fall under the same condition, whether it's conditioned as part of this application or just under the law.
Okay, the point is, it's going to be a special condition that has to be addressed anytime there's maintenance or trees or any change of vegetation or anything down in there for this particular unit, because this is the one that's within the 200 feet.
Both of those
So,
units are clearly
that's-
within the 200 feet based upon the line that's drawn right on the map.
So it will be, so the.
That's the
limit-
100 foot, right?
So, yeah.
Here's the 200 foot.
That's right, which completely encompasses
Okay,
the
so
building that's
that's
already
these two.
there.
Yeah.
The-
So list two, if you are doing any work like landscaping, minor landscaping, so plantings, normally that's exempted under the Wetlands Protection Act, unless you are going to cut really mature trees or doing big issue. Normally you don't have to come back. So that's a, and as far as the sort on the roadway, if the roadway have all drainage, which discharge into an area which is beyond 100 foot, 200 riverfront area, that won't be applied. because you are not
Well,
draining.
yeah, these are the only units that are within the 200 foot, right?
So the existing unit and the new unit.
Right.
Okay, well, the existing unit is under the original order. Does the original order have these in perpetuities?
Yes, this is that's what these are from.
You didn't.
These are from, so that
Not
that
sure.
we're
Are
not
these the
supposed
are these
to
the
be
full
using
revision?
salt? We're not supposed to be using salt on the
Hold on one
road?
second, Mr. Brown. Actually, let's take a look. I don't know when that one got added. Is that the original?
But the thing is that the state's Form 5 has also now added new conditions as well. Between the time it originally issued it, so.
Right, yes, most of them is not as a concern as far as the road, no sort of the roadway within 200 feet. It's just like, you probably have some pre-existing conditions. Those are pre-existing conditions.
Well, let's start off with what we
We're not
have.
grading the roadway actually, and so that's probably.
So number 52, no work or alteration. Was number 33, no work or alteration including but not limited to the removal of any vegetation or trees shall be conducted within the buffer zone or wetland resources. Any such work would need to be conducted in compliance with a separate order of conditions. So number 52 was number 33 in the original order.
And was that in perpetuity?
Yes, it actually states, any such work would need to be conducted in compliance with a separate order of conditions. So in other words, another order would have to be filed in order to do any of that work. All right?
Mhm.
All right, number 58, which is the no sodium chloride. We can actually remove that if the commission is so inclined because it was not part of the original order. It is one of the adds that we had done over the years. Does anyone have an issue with removing number 58, which is no sodium chloride shall be used within 100 feet where the road passes through that area?
The issue I would have with that is, when an applicant comes forward and requests an amendment, they're not requesting that we simply recycle the, whatever the conditions might have been previously. If we have new conditions that we deem to be meaningful enough to include as a special condition, I wouldn't necessarily want to strike it just because it wasn't included in the original. This is an amendment, that's the whole point.
Sure. I
That's
appreciate
fine.
your opinion. George?
I have no problem with it.
Okay. So Takashi, I think I see where both of you are coming from. What would probably make sense is to note that the roadway could be salted.
How is it written? Because there are alternatives to salt, I think that's the point.
Sure. It says no sodium chloride shall be used within 100 feet of a wetland resource area or within 200 feet of a perennial stream, and any contract or agreement for snow or ice removal shall so stipulate.
I personally think it's appropriate. There are alternatives that can be used in sensitive areas.
That's true.
I would agree with
Also-
Takashi.
What are your thoughts about alternatives, Mr. Brown?
I don't think they would work properly. Were you talking about just sand?
No,
There are,
calcium chloride.
right,
Well, no, the calcium chloride is listed down below, same condition. No calcium chloride under this.
It says no
Both of them-
sodium
both of them are
chloride.
added.
And
And then in the number 59, it says no oil, calcium chloride, or any salt.
Right.
Yeah, that one I would,
Right.
from the environmental impact perspective, I would like to just discuss 2 points. One is
That was
the
pretty
section of
fantastic.
the roadway
Right.
that's drained away from riverfront. I would feel the real essential impact if you have the water drain into the riverfront area, an altered area, that would be appropriate. But if you have a road drainage which is taking the water going beyond the 200-foot riverfront area after treated, so that means there's no difference compared with the beyond the 200-foot roadway area. So you can be a little bit further modified. So therefore, all the section, as we can see, so all the roadway is draining to the catch basin, which is actually taken to area beyond the 200-foot riverfront, that's a 200 riverfront. So after treated, that will be discharged. So it means those roadway will be no difference than the roadway beyond the 200 feet. So for a section, we may be able to modify that if you have a roadway within the riverfront area which discharges directly into the resource area, which I will 100% support, just as Mr. Tyler pointed out. So that should stand. But if the one you really have already designed in a way that the water goes to a treatment and discharging beyond the 200 feet.
Thank you.
We should fortify
No?
that.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hold on one sec. So 58 is clearly for what we're talking about now. 59 with oil, calcium chloride, or salt, that seems to be for the control of dust. It
That's what it
states
says for
specifically for
control
the
of dust,
control
yeah.
of dust.
Yeah.
The other side of the road does go eventually to the river system here, because that's the one that we're talking about going through into the big pond, outflow is into the river over here. So half of the road that we're talking about does go into the brook down here.
Right.
And also, this is not being treated for sodium. You're not removing sodium chloride.
So when you're getting concentrated flow, they're not impacting like it, so they diluted so much. So anything like in all the ones, the impact as the roadway over here
Gentlemen,
will be pretty much the same. That's what my point is.
I'll put it this way. So I have two thoughts about it. The first one is that, first of all, and with all due respect, Mr. Brown doesn't represent the eventual group that will run this because there hasn't been one formed.
Right.
So at this point, the only people who could represent this condition are the developer. And I think my concern would be is that no matter what happens, if they do contract someone to come and do the work, they will undoubtedly use salt. They'll use it in that area. But at the same time, I feel very comfortable that salt on that roadway will end up into that other system as opposed to going straight into the perennial stream. So I don't know that there's a good way to do that, except that if we were to, from now on, condition that every development didn't use sodium chloride, unless they had some special way to treat it, which I'm not sure that would be likely.
Can you say that again? I don't know if I followed you at the end there.
Sure. So almost every single development that we do ends up with stormwater.
Mhm.
And almost every single development that has stormwater has a detention basin that is either near or attached to a resource.
Right.
And this specifically says that they aren't supposed to use it within 100 feet of a wetland resource area or within 200 feet of a perennial stream,
Right.
with the argument being that you wouldn't want the salt to go directly in.
Right.
However, if the salt is conducted into that area, we're almost saying the same thing. I guess what I'm saying is that I don't know that there's a way to take care of that portion of the road separate of the other portion
I
of the
don't
road.
necessarily agree that, I agree that no contractor's gonna
Separate.
separate
Have
it
one
out.
truck in that area and a different one in the rest.
Right, which is why I think if you want to put in the condition, you put it in for everybody,
Mhm.
and you specify that you can't use salt, and then you just don't use salt, you use the alternative.
Okay. What alternatives are we talking about? Calcium chloride?
Yep.
Are there others?
There's,
Down there,
that's the most, calcium chloride is the most common one. off the top of my head, don't remember what, I know in Groton, I think we mentioned calcium chloride and something else, and it's not
Excuse
coming
me.
to it at the moment, but,
So let's do sodium chloride. Come on. Alternatives.
Okay, the driveways also to this building and the adjacent building are now salted.
So they list potassium chloride. I'm not sure these are the replacements I'm looking for. Sodium chloride road salt alternatives. Let's try that. Seeing as how they mentioned that potassium chloride is to be used in death penalty.
What?
In
Lethal injection.
lethal injection.
Well,
Okay. Road salts and alternatives. With more than 5 million tons of road salt used in Canada each year, we all know the damage they can do. Environmentally friendly alternatives. Sand, ashes, kitty litter, eco traction. All right. Why don't we do this? I'm certainly willing. So first off, I think that you have a good point, Takashi. So Mr. Brown has a good point in that he's concerned about how that area of the road is going to be prepared. And Takashi, you have a good point, which is this is a condition that we've employed, and it's because it's important. And so, Deshang, we are looking for you to return on other items here. So we've covered the items that you had concerns and questions about, Mr. Brown. We're looking for you to return with a new plan that shows how you're going to deal with that mitigation area.
Right.
And we can spend the next 2 weeks coming up with sodium chloride alternatives and find out if they're offered in the area. And incorporate that as a decision, as a discussion point.
Okay, no, that's fair. I agree, so if we're applying to one better everyone, so should, unless there's something we can see as equal protection to the resources, that's what I would.
Well, and we'll do the same thing, because as Takashi said, there are other options that he's familiar with, and it would be good for us to employ, rather than just say you can't use sodium chloride. We'll find out what other options are available and validate them first.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments tonight, Mr. Brown. All right, I would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing to our next hearing on February 12th.
So moved.
second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. See you on the 12th.
so you are not going to be signing this tonight?
No, sir, it was just continued.
Good.
All right. Our 7:25 hearing was for Borrego Solar. Is anyone here for Borrego? We didn't ask them to be represented, but no? Okay.
And they said they didn't want to come.
And they said they didn't want to come. So let's reopen that public hearing. It's for 100-0379. Were there any comments back from Borrego on the bullet
No.
points? Excellent. Any of you folks have any further questions on the Borrego application?
No.
Okay. All right. Then since Borrego has accepted the order of conditions and the special conditions as written, I would accept a motion, I would accept a motion to sign the order of conditions as written.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 I'll pass to you. I shouldn't be signing in red, should I?
Well,
Thank you.
Do you need a pen?
Yes, I'm going to sign right over it. Like that's possible. Thank you. Okay. And since we are signing for Borrego, I would accept a motion to close the public hearing for DEP file number 100-0379.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we signed, and we close the hearing.
All right. I need those originals.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jess. All right. 7:35, public meeting for the request for partial certificate of compliance for Amandry Way. I took a pass-through last week after our hearing later in the day, and I can see no issues that would cause us to not issue a certificate of compliance, right? Partial certificate of compliance for the property. Everything appears to be grown in, and there's a swale that runs between the two properties and over into the other area. So everything is in keeping with the original plan.
So should we put on here the date that you inspected?
Sure.
Um,
Site inspection, so it was the 10th, right? That was last Saturday? Yeah. Day we walked was the 10th, right?
No,
Eight,
today's the
yeah.
27th.
17th.
Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't we do it,
We did the 17th, yeah,
was it last Saturday?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Why did I think it was the Saturday before?
You were going to try.
Because it was all running
You were
together.
doing epic. You were doing
Was the
epic
17th.
stuff. Yeah.
The cold 17th.
The what?
The cold 17th it
Oh, the
was.
cold 17th, yeah.
Okay. All right, so at this point, I would recommend that we issue this partial certificate of compliance for the property known as Lot 7C on Groton School Road.
Is that a request?
I said I would recommend, yes, so I would request a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Oops, sir. Thank you. Okay. 7:40, let's reopen our public hearing for our notice of intent for Family Dollar Store 100-0380. Have here I have here a letter dated January 22nd, which it turns out is today. Dear Commissioners and Board Members, the Ayer DPW has received a response letter and updated documents dated January 19th from Civil Design Group, CDG, in regards to comments submitted by DPW to the Conservation Commission on December 29th and Planning Board on January 5th. CDG has communicated with DPW to resolve these comments. Please note that CDG and DPW are working to resolve the water service and fire protection connections with proposed project bills and any outstanding design items below. So DPW comment, 25-foot buffer zone, vegetation boundary line is not shown, buffer zone is provided with the BVW, isolated wetland located off-site, no work are proposed in either DPW, okay. Comment 2, IBW, isolated wetland may qualify as an isolated land subject to flooding. CDG states that not located within the ILSF. Therefore, project does not propose any significant impact. DPW said okay. Number 3, existing utility connections do not appear to be shown based on conversations, does not have existing conditions. DPW okay. Comes from running private well. Number 4, tree canopy not labeled to remain or be removed. Labeled to remain, DPW okay. Number 5, in addition to proposed erosion control installation within National Heritage and Endangered Species Program habitat area, there will be a vehicle construction, vehicle movement, pavement demolition, minor grading, etc. Appear to be acceptable. CDG states, agreed, we're in receipt of a letter from Fish and Wildlife indicating will not adversely affect the resource area. DPW says okay. Number 6, planning board comment, driveway connecting to turbo loops shows curb and paving work to be done, but boundary of erosion control measures are located within the limit of work. CDG replies, northerly extent of work are up gradient of erosion control, therefore runoff sediment would be intercepted. DPW says okay. I'm of course paraphrasing. Stormwater management report, number 1, DPW comment, flood insurance map should be as opposed to CDG according to that map, place it under the other number, should be used on insurance applications, effective date will be modified, DPW okay. Planning board, plan does not describe and delineate public safety features. CDG states public safety features relative to stormwater compliance as follows: cast iron grates and covers, use of guide rail proximate to the head walls, stormwater managed via subsurface structures. DPW response, okay. And then with regard to overall design, DPW current design calls for 2 ADA compliant parking spaces, that's non-jurisdictional. Planning board, proposed sewer service connection should have a manhole located at the 90-degree bend, 15 feet from the building, that's non-jurisdictional. Number 3, planning board comment, proposed sewer connections to exist or via a chimney connection, new manhole to be installed, non-jurisdictional. DPW number 4, existing sewer service line to be removed to the existing manhole, noted on the plan, DPW okay, non-jurisdictional. Number 5, proposed water service is a 2-inch, that's non-jurisdictional. Number 6, confirm proposed water and gas utilities. Number 7, under drain pipes, please confirm if under drain pipes used for slope stabilization will daylight, and if so. CDG response, as discussed, the head walls will take the place of slope stabilization. However, the daylight points for the under drain pipes associated with the head walls are provided on sheet 10, DPW okay. Number 8, with regard to a 2-inch water service, use of different materials, non-jurisdictional. In conclusion, CDG's responses sufficiently address the DPW's December 29th and January 5, 2015 comments. DPW will continue to work with CDG on the overall design and does not anticipate any conservation or planning issues arising. So, during our walk on Saturday, we discussed a number of different items. We reviewed the pipes. We were able to talk about the head wall and head wall construction, which were some of the questions that we had at the time. And we also discussed what was going to happen as far as stormwater or erosion control protection. During the meeting, the applicant asked if there were any things that they could do to make it possible for the meeting to close tonight, and we indicated that we had the comments from the DPW, and if they could be answered for the meeting, that we would be sufficiently notified of all parts and pieces that had been addressed by the DPW. So I'm comfortable that the DPW addresses those items. George, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Dr. Shi?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the first item that we had.
Those arrived yesterday, so those are revised.
Thank you. The second item was there were some plan changes to be made. So here we have our operation and maintenance plan, which was one of the requests that we had because the property will use a storm scepter, which is a device that requires future maintenance. We also asked for notification to be made on the drawings that showed the new final plan design for the head walls. So the head walls are now marked on here in much better detail.
Would you like me to close the door?
I think you can close that one as long as this one stays open, right? Excellent. Okay. So here's the detail that we spoke about at the meeting. and which the applicant was able to resolve at the meeting. They were able to show us the details of how the head walls would be constructed, which was, quite frankly, my greatest concern, because I wasn't certain how that was going to be done. So this is all the work that will be done inside of the buffer area. And so the only other discussion that we had on site was with regard to, during the construction process, having bales in the swale.
Level road.
2 courses.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be on there.
And they are. Yep, portion of double hay bales to be removed once improvements are installed. Perfect.
There's a reference to having a sedimentation tank on site.
There's an area for a temporary enclosed drainage basin. Is that what you were looking for?
Yes, where they were gonna pump to.
Right, right. Yep. So this would be the temporary enclosed drainage basin, and then, I'm just gonna keep bumping it. We provided a detail, which I think Mr. Henry, you were able to get to Mr. Henry, but he may not have been able to get on here, but hold on, I may have gone past it. Okay, so he has shown his own temporary sediment basin.
What sheet are you on?
7. This doesn't apply so much. This is a different detail. But what he has shown is a silt sack. No, that is in the, hold on a second. I was looking for the head wall detail, so I may have missed it. Start over. So he's added it as a note, in the event of significant rainfall, the contractor shall pump runoff from the culvert discharge point into an enclosed basin comprised of hay bales and filter fabric as approved by the commission.
What page is that?
3. Right, so he's got a double hay bale as shown and requested. So that's perfect. All right. So the plans, they do not have the detail that we sent, but they do have the note that references the detail we sent. You comfortable with that? You comfortable with that, sir?
Mhm.
Miss?
Yep.
Okay. I think what I would ask, and will probably reference to the applicant, is just to have a copy of the drawing that we provided, just on site with the, so during construction, the order of conditions have to be on site at all times. So we would just ask that a copy of that picture that shows what we were looking for. There's a note on here that says how to do it,
Right.
but it's better to have that photo. So as long as they have that photocopy on site, we'd be just fine.
That's not a problem.
You're Don Beck, right?
All back,
Paul Beck.
all.
Okay. Make sure I don't get anything out of order, I need just.
While you're doing that, I'm just gonna clear this stuff out of the way.
Okay. So, we performed our site walk. We requested additional information and plans that represented the head walls and erosion control for the same. That's all in here. We asked that the DPW comments be specifically addressed. That's occurred in here as well. And this is mine, because you've already got one. That's my copy, right? And that is, that's my recollection. Do you have any further comments or questions about the application?
We had, and I'd done up 2 special conditions.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to look at those?
I didn't have a chance to.
Site specific, but,
Well, as we do that, did you have any other further questions on
Did
this?
not.
Okay, thank you.
one of them was to address, you'd also said you wanted the head wall on the eastern side done before the one on the western side,
Right,
but controls put on both sides.
right.
So,
Yeah, with condition 49 or 50?
Yeah.
Fine.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And I sent the drafts of these to Phil Henry, Nicole Hayes, and Doug Murray, so.
Any comment back?
Nope.
Okay. Was there a comment that there is no comment?
Yeah, I spoke to Phil Henry earlier today, and
Okay.
yeah, he was fine.
There is no comment.
Just-
We're fine.
I just wanted to make sure if there was something in the file, that it was in the file.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Okay.
So at this moment then, based on the requests that were fulfilled by the applicant, I would accept a motion to issue the order of conditions as written.
So,
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And will you pass that? Thank you. Sir? Okay. Since we were able to take care of our special conditions as well as finalize all of the topics of the meeting, I would actually accept a motion to close the public hearing for DEP file number 100-0380.
so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 So do you want to pick this up, or?
I would prefer, one, let me thank you very much for your professionalism and expediting this. I think we did everything you wanted us to do, and I appreciate your cooperation in working with us. Now that it's done and you've saved us a couple weeks, I prefer you do it through your normal administrative process.
Okay, so certified mail
Perfect. To
to,
probably to Phil Henry,
okay.
Okay.
and then we'll make arrangements to have it recorded, and it'll be part of the title, and then
Perfect. Excellent.
So I'll try and get that out tomorrow morning.
that's fine. I mean,
You can take the information from tonight, I'm hoping, and process it as you're good?
yeah,
Correct.
we're good. I mean, we went through there's 64 of the conditions. We're fine with them. I think you'll see a project you'll be proud of. So,
Well, looking forward to, just make sure, and it's always, you know, an important note in the conditions, make sure they notify us to take a look at the erosion controls before they get started, that's all.
that's number one. And number two for us, if the project gets sold, we want to make sure that whoever follows up takes care of it.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
All right.
Now, one other point.
That way.
Thank you.
Take a left and take a right. Okay. Our 8 o'clock, Mr. Don Price. Good evening, Don. Come on up.
Hey there, thanks for seeing me at short notice. Jess, I think I talked to you? Yes, you did. We are looking to have a deck on a house on Patriot Way, corner of Patriot and Sandy Pond.
Okay.
There's 5 copies of our site plan there,
Thank you.
showing the deck. We have an order of conditions on the property, or that's the site. I'm just looking for the number. It's DEP number 100-0343.
Thank you very
So
much.
the shaded area is the building envelope. The purple inside, I think it's purple on your copies,
Mhm.
shows our the footprint of the house that we are building.
Right.
You can see the deck on the back extends into the beyond that shaded area. So we'd like to build a 10 by 12 deck. They're similar to others in the neighborhood. So we're here looking for approval for
Okay. So as I see it, all of your work is still inside of the hay bales.
that. Correct.
And in this particular case, the 100-foot wetland is actually the one that's located across the road.
Yeah, if you notice, the 100, yes, correct.
Because if this is the wetland that's over here, but isn't this across Sandy Pond?
Yeah, so yeah, there's a wetland on the other side of Sandy Pond. There's also a wetland over here.
Right,
Yeah.
which is captured by this one.
Right. Okay, okay, I see what you're saying, yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
this line here, right, is,
Right, this line, so if this line would have continued along like so,
right,
this 100-foot buffer that the deck is crossing into is from the wetland across the street. Which makes sense,
I believe,
because you're
yeah.
48 feet to the road,
Yeah.
or to the property line, and then you're probably another 50 feet across, so it's catching it by a foot or two.
that's what it said.
Okay. Does everyone agree with the way that I'm reading this? Does that make sense? So what we're really talking about is encroachment into a buffer zone that is for a wetland that is 48 feet of lawn and an entire road across from. And any work that happens in this area that does affect a wetland actually affects the wetland that's off the page to the east, and that area is protected by hay bales. Are those hay bales in place, Mr. Price?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if Becky inspected those? I think she did at one
I
point.
think she did.
Yeah. I see them every day when I drive by. I just have to say it out loud. Okay. So at this point, what we're really talking about is an issue that, for all intents and purposes, isn't an issue. Does anybody have any problem working with Mr. Price to allow this?
No.
Okay. So, Mr. Price, the only thing, so thank you very much for preparing this and giving it to us. The only thing that I would ask is that on the project, you're obviously going to finish your work and seed the grass before the hay bales would come out. So I'm assuming the deck is going to be built along with the house, not after.
Correct.
Okay. So as long as the deck is built as part of the project along with the house, No issue whatsoever.
Okay.
But thank you very much for bringing it to our attention, because obviously it would have shown up on the plan later.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Okay.
Did we vote as a field change?
Yeah. So I would accept a motion to approve a field change to add the proposed 10-foot by 12-foot deck on the back side of the house as part of DEP file number 100-0343, as it is encompassed within the existing erosion control. No additional protection will be required.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get all that?
Within the existing
erosion control. No additional protection will be required. Thank you. So there's a motion, it's been seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much, and thanks for bringing it up.
Will there be an addendum issued, or how is that? Just for.
Would you
Yeah,
do-
the way it would work is that one of these plans would simply be, I would just stamp it as having been received on whatever date, and then approved as minor plan change on today's date, and that gets basically put on top of the previously approved plans, or attached in some ways. Yeah.
Well, they're received and approved on the same day.
Right, so it'll be accepted as part of the file.
Right.
And should
Oh,
we,
good.
do we need to send Mr. Price anything then, or?
You know what would probably be great is after you make a copy of it,
Yeah.
we'll have it in the office, and if you'd like to come pick it up, that would be great.
Okay, I'll do that.
You
Can
have
I
Dawn's number.
Okay. Yep. I do.
contact you, Jess? or-
Yeah, I've got your number, 978-289.
2927. That's me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, good night.
See that?
Actually, I think we'll talk on that. So that I can remember what we did. Thank you, sir. Okay. We have an 805, which was for Pingree Hill. Do we have anything, any follow-ups from Hanson Mulaney?
No, but you had wanted this kept on the, you wanted this kept on the agenda?
Yes. Well, just because he's been sending them in as he goes. So
Right.
no email today from him?
We have not gotten any, and I don't think he anticipated getting any more.
Okay.
And didn't know what else could be done on those.
All right, we'll continue to follow up with him then. We'll certainly see Rick in the future.
So leave this on the agenda?
Yes, please. All right, 8:15, discussion, review of NOI filed for Nashua Street Extension, DEP superseding order, and GPR's request for adjudicatory hearing.
Okay, so in your packets.
Was it in here? How did I miss it?
It's in there.
It's the last thing.
Ah, here it is.
And I have the whole file here if you need it.
All right, so, good evening, Ms. Schultz. Did you know you were listed in here as an additional known party?
No, I didn't know.
Yes, yes. It says that this is for the request for adjudicatory hearing. So this is by GPR for the property on Nashua Street Extension. They have requested that the state hear their claim. They have listed the Conservation Commission, the DEP, Lorraine McDougall, Jane Dusick, Krista Maxent, and Lisa White as additional known parties. So your names must have been the ones on the request for superseding order.
There's another page also, I didn't do Justin, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
These were the ones that actually were at the meeting, when they did the walk.
Gotcha. All right. On behalf of Malunco, GPR has prepared this notice of claim request for adjudicatory hearing in response to superseding order of conditions. Denied the project on the basis that the proposed work cannot be conditioned to meet the performance standards set forth under stormwater management standards to protect the interests above. Specifically, that infiltration basins must be set back a minimum of 50 feet from surface waters of the Commonwealth, including BVW, and must be constructed with a minimum separation of 2 feet from seasonal high groundwater. Cannot be constructed in fill, or they can be used as sedimentation basins during construction. Calculations for TSS removal included credit for weekly or monthly street sweeping. They understand the applicant intent is to accept the road as a town road, and it's unlikely they'll sweep it more than once or twice per year. Okay. The applicant believes it can be conditioned. With regard to item 1 above, proposed design incorporates the use of 3 basins. The infiltration basins as proposed will not be constructed in fill. Were designed to ensure a minimum of 2 feet. Deep observation hole tests were performed to identify soil profile, absorbed groundwater, and evidence to determine the adjusted groundwater elevation. Based on deep observation well holes, associated basin number 1 was determined to be at an elevation of 294. Groundwater was 295. Closest to the bottom elevation, designed at 297, providing 2.1 feet. Okay, so as it goes through all the height, to address the stated requirement that infiltration basins provide a minimum 50-foot setback, present the following. Table RR in Volume 1, Chapter 1 of Mass Stormwater Handbook provides a summary and criteria and requirements for groundwater recharge. While it does indicate that there is a 50-foot general setback requirement, also explicitly states in the first line that all BMPs must be designed according to specifications and procedures in Volume 2 and 3. Additionally, as the last statement, specific BMPs have additional setback requirements, see Volumes 2 and 3. Volume 2, Chapter 2 of the handbook includes a section for infiltration basins. In this section, Table 1B.1, site criteria indicates the following setback requirements should apply to basin installations. Additionally, in the body of the infiltration basin section, applicability is a statement that Table 1B.1 presents recommended site criteria. There's no mention of a setback requirement. It should be noted that in Volume 2, Chapter 1, there's a section stormwater recharge with a subsection. Site suitability, BMP suitability includes Table 3.2.3, also describes general setback requirements and includes a 50-foot buffer to other surface water. The table also includes a statement specific BMPs have additional setback requirements in Chapter 2. So the language additional would seem to indicate that there could be more stringent requirements when in reality the infiltration specifications in Chapter 2 include the word should. Volume 1, Chapter 1, explanation of standards, implementation of stormwater management systems that are specifically designed in accordance with all applicable statutes, regulations, purposes, approvals, other standards. With these facts in mind, it is unclear whether or not the 50-foot setback from waters of the Commonwealth should apply or is a general requirement. GPR would also like to point out that 50-foot setback from waters of the Commonwealth is only applicable to BMPs and LIDs that utilize infiltration to recharge groundwater, while detention basins, bioretention areas, rain gardens, constructed stormwater wetlands, and other stormwater management BMPs and LIDs are permitted within the 50-foot setback from the waters of the Commonwealth. The reasoning for the 50-foot setback from waters of the Commonwealth for infiltration basins is not documented and is not clear in the Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook. So the reason that I read it in its entirety is that it was very dismaying to me that Marion DePinto had a question about this, because anytime we have a stormwater basin that comes up, we forward them to the DPW. So as you know, our DPW superintendent is a professional engineer, and he's hired another professional engineer to assist him. And so I was very concerned that in most of our cases, almost all of our detention basins are within 50 feet of a resource area, because that's where they end up being tucked, so that the water does recharge. So I was very worried that we had been doing it wrong all along, and that the DPW superintendent had been agreeing with us. And so I feel a little bit better that the 50-foot setback from the waters of the Commonwealth seems to be, in GPR's mind, seems to be a little iffy as a regulation, and seems to be more of a, less of a requirement and more of an idea. And it also seems to make sense that you wouldn't want to be within 50 feet of open water, but within the area where a wetland is, it wouldn't be quite as concerning. The open water, of course, like a stream, would be able to conduct any discharge from that and take it a great distance, whereas a wetland, it would be more contained. And in that case, I'd only be worried about like a 500-year storm or something where it overflowed the basin. So, does that make sense? That had me very concerned that we had missed something that comes up on every application. So, I guess I feel a little bit better. Anyway, that's GPR's argument back to Marion DePinto on that specific point.
So if this argument goes back to Marion DePinto, or does it go to some higher board or something like this?
Well, in this case, their request is for an adjudicatory hearing, which honestly, unless Takashi or George knows, I don't know exactly what that process is at the DEP. I don't know who that goes to.
I'm not sure either.
I think it's some higher authority within the department.
Right. Yeah, it'd be my guess. It wouldn't be. So Mr. Pinto is a very talented and capable person. She went out and performed the field visit. There would be ostensibly a different person who does the actual hearing.
How does this apply to what I heard before about salt being used close to, of course, that was a stream you're talking about, then it's brook, but
Right.
is it applicable in cases like this where you're using road salt right next to these wetlands and everything? Is that
Well, here's where it gets very tough. So not only are most of the applications that come before us for areas where a new road is proposed, but in fact, many of the roads in town, the existing roads in town, pass through areas where there are wetlands. In fact, I would point you to West Main Street, where unfortunately all those catch basins go right into the wetland. And so there's no great solution for any of it other than to have pretty much the Commonwealth and the Northeast change the way that they protect roads in times of ice. There was who are those fellows who came to us that night? Remember them?
Yeah, the beer and paper waste product. I think that Ayer DPW is using some of that,
Are they?
but I think they still have to mix some salt with it.
I've
And I know
I've seen trucks that spray that in
Yeah.
other communities. In fact, I think I was in Lexington just before Christmas, and there was a truck in front, and it had sprayers. So there was some folks came to us one night, and they asked if they could recommend it to the town, and they wanted our approval. And we said, well, let's give it a shot. And so the man brought in a sample of this material that is sprayed down on the road. It has better adhesion than salt does. It doesn't, bounce or get washed away quite as well. But it provided the same benefit for preventing freezing up of ice on the roads. And then he, to all of our dismay, stuck his finger in it and put it in his mouth and said, "See, and it's safe." And we all said, "That's not something we're all going to do." So, so it would be great if there were other alternatives and they were used by this town or other towns or all towns. But it's not, I think it would be a slow process to get to that point.
okay?
And that's me being pragmatic, not pessimistic. So they have a brief history at the end, talk about what they're planning to do, stormwater runoff, how it's collected. They talk about their subdivision plans. Okay. Did you get a copy of this mailed to you, or?
can give Ruth my copy and just make another copy.
Are you sure?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, that's about as much as I can tell you about it, Ruth. There's nothing in here about how the hearing is conducted or scheduled or anything like that. I mean, I wouldn't have expected it, but looked anyway. So, we did issue an order of conditions. The appeal was effective, and they have requested an adjudicatory hearing for their defense of the appeal. Nothing else, I'll be very interested to hear about the 50-foot. All right.
Just one more comment on question, actually. I know the DPW had a lot of questions about this particular development, but they had all been resolved, had they, before the order of conditions was granted?
That's correct. We, in general, when we forward over the application so that it can be reviewed for stormwater by the DPW folks, who again are the experts. And that's why that point was so important to me, because I felt like if we were all missing something, that's bad. The DPW had questions and concerns about road grading, the size of the circle, the size of the garden. They had questions about what would happen during normal plowing, etc. And those were all addressed by GPR with the DPW. The only thing that I'm aware of that the DPW did not come to a final conclusion on was there was a discussion about a potential water main connection. But I don't think they ever got to a point where they hashed that out. And I believe, based on what Calvin said, it was not about a design problem, it was a negotiation problem. So that's the only thing that I know of that the DPW had as an open item when we finished. And I think it was based on the fact that they really wanted to connect that water main on the other side.
And the granite curbs.
Well, I think that was what, right, but that was solved, that was becoming a planning board.
Right.
Right. But they were comfortable whichever way it went, so. I don't know. Okay. Air wetland bylaw revision. Now, you put down this for 15 minutes. That was a good idea.
Well, one thing, actually, we're thinking if we didn't want to spend too much time on it tonight. My recollection is, and I was going to check, but I forgot to, is that the town usually does its bylaw revisions in the fall town meeting.
Excellent.
Am I wrong? Am I
Put it
wrong?
off for a couple months.
No.
What did you mean?
But, but in any case, I did make some copies or a sample of the town of Sudbury's wetland bylaw. They would like to see a copy.
Thank you,
And
sir.
they did a revision this August. But it would be something to look at, maybe not to talk about tonight.
Thank you.
Um,
But certainly to copy blatantly.
Well, copy blatantly, and I noted, like on their regulations thing, the longer document, they go into performance standards for adjacent upland resource areas, setting, some things I thought could be useful.
We're all up in your vernal pool. Did you see that?
What's that?
Page 1, the regulations. Next packet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
presumption of vernal pool habitat. They actually go into the point of you have to demonstrate that a ponded area is not a vernal pool.
So,
Vernally guilty until proven innocent.
and on our, on the Form 5 order of conditions, the state part, of the first 20 conditions, Becky has been checking that no, the air stormwater or air wetland bylaw does not apply. And the reason she did that is because below that, if it does apply, you have to cite the specific conditions. And
Right.
the bylaw is so vague that none of those really come into play. We're really all operating off the state's bylaw.
Sure.
So, but this would allow, if we put in more conditions that, of some, things, including the thing we discussed before about setting the criterion for when a erosion control specialist is attached to
Right.
the project.
Right.
So that would allow us to spiff things up a bit.
No, it's, I think that the specificity is
Yeah.
the most important part.
Now, I notice on page 18, they have tree removal performance standards. So, on Snake Hill Road recently, there's a house that, just across from, well, you saw it, Snake Hill Road, just took down at least 14 mature trees, basically all the trees on the lot. And I've heard a rumor that he's trying to think where he's going to put the driveway. So I think there's going to be digging on that lot. So my feeling is it's within the 100-foot buffer zone. That when there's that much tree clearing, it really should be coming before us.
So I passed by it after you
Right.
notified
I
me.
know. Yeah.
And what I found was that 6 or 8 of the trees were literally within 1 foot or 2 feet of the house.
Right. No problem with those.
So they cut those trees
Right.
down. So the majority of the work
Right.
was those trees. And then there were 2 or 3 trees in the front of the lawn.
No more than that. There were a total of 14 trees that you could see that were taken down on the whole lot, and the whole lot's been stripped.
Well, were there more trees taken down after that day that I went by?
Probably. I mean, there's not a tree left.
Okay.
No trees, nada.
I mean, the ones that were close to the house, they never should have let grow there.
Right.
That was my
And
biggest
I would
issue.
agree, yeah. But the thing is, I mean, some of these other things, and actually the Wetland Protection Act talks about cumulative impact. And so, yeah, I mean, this one particular lot might not make a huge difference, although there's a lot of people in the neighborhood who are not thrilled because it does change the look of the things. But if in proximity to Sandy Pond, Great Pond, if everybody chose to do that, within buffer zone, it'd be hard to see that there would be a significant cumulative impact on that. So, I guess I would put in that I'd love to have us consider strengthening our language on tree removal. Not that we're going to ban it, but because certainly in public safety issues. But
Well, I
it's
guess that's
just
where the next question
Yeah.
comes. So would you have had them not remove those trees?
I would have been fine with the ones right up against the house, and I saw some of those. They really were within like a foot.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones on the road, right on the road, which were a distance from the house, I mean, would you want because anybody who lives on that pond, all the trees are all within proximity to crushing houses. So it would be a dramatically different pond if everybody cut all their trees.
I'm not debating that with you, but I'm really not sure at what point we would say to somebody, you can't cut those trees down. I mean, they're not in the
Yeah.
wetland resource. They're located across the road from the pond. It just gets,
Yeah. Don't we have jurisdiction in buffer zone impacts
Well-
within 100 foot?
I guess the question is, what is the impact of removing the tree in the buffer zone?
Cumulative impact. I don't know,
But what's the cumulative impact? The fact
Well,
that there's no
before-
tree there?
Deforesting around a pond, I mean, again, if you talked about everybody doing it. Anyway.
I'm open to
Yeah.
understanding where you're coming from, but
Yeah.
I'm concerned that it's more aesthetic than it is and is actually effective.
What does Groton do?
And when he's done, go to George.
We would, at a minimum, probably require an RDA.
Oh, really?
But
So-
you- but
so
you,
what
but you
grounds?
wouldn't,
So hold on.
on the grounds that it's within jurisdiction, but then you wouldn't necessarily deny the application because you wouldn't have,
Right.
it would
So the
be harder to
trees would
find
come
grounds
down.
to.
What
The-
Takeshi is saying is that
Yeah.
they have a mechanism
Right.
to discuss it. So in this particular case, probably the only thing that comes up is that they didn't chip the trees, they cut the trees down and they hauled off the debris, which would have been something that we would have conditioned if they had come to us.
Mhm.
We would have said, okay, so what is your process? They would have said, we're going to cut the trees down,
Mhm.
stack the logs, and haul off the material that could otherwise end up inside the resource area.
Right.
So unlike soil or other material that would end up inside the resource area, we're talking about wood chips and
Right.
debris from the trees, which we wouldn't want to have happen, but is far better than soil or oil or other products. But I don't think at any point we would say, you can take down 7 trees, but you can't take down 8, or you can take down 8 trees, but you can't take down 9.
There would be other considerations though, if you consider all the protected interests of the act, if one of them is wildlife habitat, if we're talking about cumulatively lots that are all within rare species habitat, which I believe around the ponds, that is mapped habitat. I'm kind of with Jess in that it would be nice if we had something in writing that
Sure.
at least showed that, yeah, we do have at least jurisdiction to review and potentially condition and potentially ask for something like a wildlife habitat evaluation, which is something that we could do. The regulations have changed and the forms have changed. I don't know if that component is still available as something that we can require of an applicant. But I mean, that's the kind of thing that it would be nice to at least have the option to consider based on a bylaw that says we have that, we have the right to ask for that kind of thing, so.
Well, and if the new homeowner on this, because this parcel just recently sold, if the new homeowner is planning on he's going to be doing a driveway, it strikes me he's thinking he doesn't need permission. That this would be a friendly way of saying, hey, you know, when you cut that many big mature trees down, you need to really come before us and just clear it.
Clear it.
as it were. But you know, I know a neighbor who stopped and yelled at the fellow.
Was it you?
No, it was not.
It's a fair question.
And you know, and that he took all the trees. He apparently, this is rumor, but apparently said he took down all the trees because he wasn't sure where he was going to put the driveway. And I think, you know, our general procedure with other things is, you know, show us a plan and then we'll tell you. You know, it's just, you shouldn't just do the so-called chainsaw massacre of all the trees and then say, oh, well, where will I put the driveway at that point? It just doesn't strike me as good conservation management practice.
Did they remove the stumps?
They ground the stumps 6 inches down. Now, Becky would always, I mean, I know she's gone to many houses and said, yeah, you can take these trees, but not those.
Well, in those cases, those trees were typically inside the wetland area.
Yeah.
This is across the road from the resource. There's really, I mean, other than, I will agree with Takashi that if there was a specific reason to keep a tree, and I guess I'd be hard pressed to find it, although I'd be very interested to learn more about it. Not in a resource area. They're across from a resource area. I don't know any reason that we would have that would be substantial enough for us to say, you have to live with a tree you don't want because you can't cut it down.
Well,
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you're doing that extent of impact on the lot within buffer zone, that there should be just touching base with us. I mean,
Sure,
not vote
but at the
for.
end of the day,
Yeah.
all those trees were going to be gone. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting
Yeah.
that it would have been great if they had come to us and said, we're going to cut down the trees because we're within 100 foot of a resource area. What I'm saying to you is at the end of the day, I'm understanding what your other reasoning is,
Mhm.
and your other reasoning is you didn't want all the trees to go away, and I can't think of a reason for not all those trees to go away. Do you have a reason why a tree might remain?
Well, I guess I don't feel like that's the right question to ask. I don't know.
I'm
Or
skipping to the end.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I'm reading ahead, and the opening chapter is, "Wouldn't it be great if they came to us?" And the final chapter is, "I really didn't want all the trees to go away." And I apologize for the spoiler alert, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. What would be the reason why
And
we would
George?
what would be the reason why we would end up saying in this non-buffer area, excuse me, in this non-resource area, why they would have to retain trees that they perhaps didn't want to have?
Well, and I'll say it again. I don't think that's not really where I would be going with it. I don't think, in my opinion, that's the right question to ask. I think the point is when you do have when you have clearly stated jurisdiction that might include, in this case, tree clearing, and you sort of place a requirement on the homeowner to comply with, whatever regulations will be regarding tree clearing, it at least forces them to think about what they're doing.
Sure.
And maybe be more judicious in the use of the chainsaw, and so maybe they want all their trees gone, and that's fine. And if that's what they want, then maybe even with a bylaw that specifically mentioned and regulated tree clearing, maybe the end result will be the same. But I don't think that's really the point. I think the point is if we want to be protective of certain aspects of our jurisdiction, including trees, then we should put it in a bylaw and just as we do with other aspects of the Wetlands Protection Act, try and enforce it as best we can, be consistent with it, and if somebody runs afoul, we take enforcement action. I think that's
Well,
without anything to go by, we don't have really the ability to even take enforcement action on something like that, even if it was something that did rise to the level of requiring, I don't know what, enforcement action.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever that might be.
Well, so let's see, you said that on page, did you say 18?
Yeah.
So it states, property owners often approach the commission for approval to remove trees in the wetland or upland resource area of their lot for safety reasons. These safety reasons may be perceived hazards or documented hazards. Heavy rains and more severe storms in the past several years have resulted in a significant increase in tree removal requests. A property owner may submit a report from a state licensed arborist to show that the trees are documented health or safety hazards, disease struck by lightning, causing serious mold or mildew within the dwelling, etc. Based on the functions of the trees, the commission, at its discretion and based on wetland function, may or may not require replanting of other native plant species to preserve wetland values and functions. Property owners wishing to remove trees that are not imminent threats and show no signs of being compromised will be required to submit restoration planting plan to preserve and enhance the wetland and adjacent upland values and functions. Property owners may trim tree branches directly overhanging dwellings without a permit.
And so the other, I guess, point I would make is that if we currently don't have anything in our bylaws that says that anybody would have to come to us specifically for tree clearing, having it in there then allows us to, even if we agree that a tree has to be removed for whatever reason, safety or some other reason. If they come to us first, we can just ensure that it's going to be done in a way that doesn't cause a detrimental impact to the resource area.
Sure.
As the work is being done. It's much, in my opinion, much better to make sure that nothing bad happens rather than have something bad happen, try and enforce it and repair whatever the damage is done. Once the damage is done, often you can try and restore it, but it's the damage is done.
No, especially with tree removal.
Right. So Just the concept of having something like this in place that allows us to be that much more protective, I think, is a benefit. I don't know that this particular lot that we're talking about is the best example of how the bylaw might be used or where it might apply, but I think in general, I mean,
In this
the basis
particular
for it,
case,
there's definitely a good basis for having it in place.
so let's say that we actually had this as an extension of our bylaw. And by the way, do you have this in Groton?
I don't know that we specifically have tree removal.
Okay. So if we had this, then what would have happened is that the folks would have come to us and, for instance, a commission member might have said, we understand that you're wishing to remove trees, they're not an imminent threat. So the landowner would say, well, yes, these 6 or 8 trees are right next to my house, that I just purchased the property and I'm very concerned. And worst of all, they're pines, which means all the lower branches die and fall by definition. That's what pine trees do. So at that point, somebody might say, well, those 6 trees or 8 trees up next to the house are no problem. That makes sense. We understand your need for protection of the residents. And then they might say, well, we'd like to remove these ones by the front of the yard as well because we'd like to re-landscape the yard. And at that point, with this tree removal performance standard, a commissioner might say, well, if you'd like to remove trees that are not imminent threats and show no signs of being compromised, then you would need to provide a restoration planting plan. And the idea would be that the landowner would say, that's no problem, that's what I was planning to do anyway. The reason I was taking those trees down is they're not the trees I wanted on my property. So, I can see both sides. I like the idea of having greater information like this in the bylaw, if for no other reason than this, and especially the way it's written, helps the landowner to understand what the intent is. So, I think, problem? Oh,
Blue lights. Yeah.
so I think that a tree removal performance standard, especially as written this way, is fantastic to add to the bylaw because it does stipulate. I think probably the only thing that I would want to add, because they don't mention it in here, which is interesting. So our tree removal issues have mostly been about trees that were dead or damaged that were inside of a wetland and were leaning toward the house. So in the past, we had a number of trees that people had come to us. Remember that the lady who came to us at the bottom of Pond View? Remember, go down the bottom of the hill, turn left, and she had a tree that she wanted to take down that was directly behind the house. And Becky went out and took a look and she said, you can take this tree down that leans toward the house, but please leave the tree that leans away from the house. And the specificity of that was it was in the resource. It wasn't outside the resource, it was in the resource. So I think probably the only thing that I want to add in here is that this talks about removing trees. I think in this particular case, I'd want to add something about the fact that there's a difference between approval to remove trees that are in an upland resource area and approval to remove trees that are in a wetland. So even to the point of stipulating that that trees inside of the wetland resource may only be removed due to documented safety or damage.
Yeah.
Whereas trees outside the resource area, inside of the upland or buffer zone, could be removed for the reasons below. So, does that make sense? But if you're going to go to the trouble of stipulating that you can remove trees, really like to stipulate that trees inside the wetland resource should not be removed without permission.
Right.
With the idea that then somebody, and if you're just taking the argument a step further, then they have to say, well, where is the wetland area? And you say, well, we'll come out and look at it with you.
And I had found Boxford has, their wetland bylaw does mention things on cutting of vegetation and like a 25-foot zone. But the thing in there that I found interesting was that they talked about cutting they call it overstory. If you're cutting less than 50% of the overstory, like thinning trees, not a problem really, but if you're cutting more than that, then you need to come before commission. And it just seems it provides a break, like a little speed limit before you go into massive clear cutting. It just gives us a little input.
Well, I'm fine with this, except I come back to the same thing. So the one thing that this Sudbury provides, right?
Right.
So let's talk about a more typical situation. The homeowner doesn't approach us and he cuts down all the trees.
Right.
Okay? So right now, the only thing we could do is serve a violation notice.
Mhm.
If it's in our bylaw that he was supposed to have talked to us because there would need to be a restoration plan, then we could condition under an enforcement order that he provide a restoration plan and that he perform a restoration plan,
Yeah.
just as if he had come to us first.
Yeah.
So I agree with your speed bump, but it just reminds me of some previous discussions we had where there was a lot of dismay over things that had happened and virtually nothing that could be done about it, which,
Right.
you know, seemed like a lot of crying over spilled milk, whereas having a plan that says, well, come to us and talk about what you're going to do to provide the same protection on the lot, you know, the same trees on the lot,
Yeah.
that at least gives you the opportunity to discuss that, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not thinking of it as like, oh, we get to issue draconian decrees and say you can't do anything on your lot. It is more just the idea of speed bump and, you know, helping people think about what they do before they, when they're near resource areas, before they do the great chainsaw massacre. So,
Well, quite frankly, based on the trees, I'm sad that it may have even been the right thing to do, so.
mm.
Those are just big pine trees, they're not, that's a whole other discussion.
Bill does not like pine trees.
How about Bill understands what pine trees do? Birch trees grow up and fall over. Pine trees grow straight up and drop branches and sap. Well, I like that part too.
So then also in the Sudbury example, so I mean, what I'd say would be like page 20, we talk about security and orders of conditions and bonding, and that's something we've talked about in the past for,
Right.
you know, as a way for subdivision projects at least to give us some leverage over compliance with the.
I have a question about the bonding. We don't,
I don't even know how you approach it.
so
I don't know either.
we,
Yeah.
in Ayer, we haven't been doing that. In Groton, we don't do that. I know in Groton, we don't do it because our town council said we can't do it.
I was gonna say, I don't know, I don't even know how you approach bonding. I don't know if that has to be part of your bylaw,
Yeah, it.
because like we have a consultant bylaw.
Right,
So if you think about it, bonding and a consultant bylaw are very similar in that they both require the applicant to pay a fee
mhm.
to prove or protect, to either, they cause the applicant to pay a fee to either prove that their application is worthy or to condition them, to force them to do the work, or else they lose their money, which you then spend to do the work that they didn't do. So I don't even know if that comes about as a, I don't know if you can even put that in your,
No, you have to have some kind of structures in place that have been, you know, approved and
I
meet
think
whatever
it would
the
have to-
requirements of the Department of Revenue or whoever
Right.
regulates the bonding aspect of business. And then if that's in place, then you can then go about making that part of our application process. But
right.
I,
Well, the planning board does it. So the
right,
question is, does the planning board do it under a town bylaw, or does the
No.
planning board do it under their own impetus?
I'm not sure. They have to have some
They must have something.
mechanism that allows them to do it. I don't know what that is, but
Well, so let's talk about, for us, I think, so in general, I think the best way for us to make sure that we don't end up with an applicant who fails to do the protection is to have the construction process be in a specific order. So for instance, if you force them to install the basins first, then that's the hard work. And if they install the catch basins and if they install the catch basins and the detention basins and they install the piping that goes between culverts, etc., then what you've in effect done is you've really what you're leaving it up to at that point is paving, which they need to in order to get paid on their bank bonds, on their bank requirements, and seeding and landscaping, which is a pretty big requirement if you want to sell houses.
Right.
So I'm not as worried about a bond in those situations.
Well, there, but that does open up the, in a revised bylaw, that we could put in certain things like for building projects over, more than 2 houses or something, that, couldn't we put in there that unless exempted from it, they're required to do the, stormwater stuff before?
Yeah, no,
We
absolutely.
can specify that. So that's what I'm thinking there. And the other one on that.
Any
was-
stormwater road project requires that stormwater
Right,
be done in effect first.
right,
In that, and even to the point of saying that no application will be heard that
right.
does not involve a order of operations that
Right.
shows the stormwater going done first.
I think the way we do in Groton is to require a construction sequence or an order of operations, and then reference that as one of the plans in the list of plans that are referenced in the order of conditions,
Right.
that they are required to adhere to.
A separate document that
Yeah.
clearly states what the order is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And even to the point of saying that without permission of the Conservation Commission, if the order is changed, that the project to be deemed, would be deemed ceased and desisted. And
Ceased and
ceased
desist.
and desisted, and that would be the end of it.
Yeah. And then the other area related to that would be, in a way, putting in something that tightens how we work with developers on where there are conservation restrictions involved. Because,
Like we've done on the last ones, we let them, right, they said, oh, don't worry, we do it at the end.
right,
Mhm.
Never again.
Right.
right. But so that's something we could put in the bylaw revision.
Sure.
And stuff. So things like that, I'm thinking.
Well, and I think what's important is, right, is so that, I think there are 2 parts to it. So where you are addressing things that are specific to homeowners, such as trees, you will get pushback because people will be concerned about those things. They'll be concerned about what that means. Where you are talking about things that developers need to do so that they do things in the right order, so that the people who buy the houses and the neighborhoods around them aren't affected negatively by the developer's process. I think those are usually very popular because they're important to both the people who buy the houses, but also they're very important to the people in the neighborhoods next door. Because it doesn't make sense to live in a neighborhood where the guy next to you does a lousy job.
But when we were doing the, when we were looking at the certificate of compliance properties in Pingree Hill, and we ran into that very nice homeowner who was talking about wanting to cut down certain trees, which you thought made sense. But we told him he had to do an RDA.
Right.
So what's the difference between that person and, say, this house on Snake Hill, not having to do an RDA?
None. They should.
This is just
they
not
should have
going
to do
away,
it-
huh?
They should have to do an RDA, in my
I'm
opinion.
just trying to get it straight in my mind.
That-
So,
The-
number one, the
Right.
person on Snake Hill, and when you
Yeah.
told me about it, so I drove by.
Right.
So what was the very first thing do you think I noticed? Very first thing I noticed between what was going on with those trees and the resource area?
Oh, the road,
The road,
right.
right? So the gentleman who wanted to take down the trees, wanted to take down trees that were on a hill that directly ran into the resource area,
Right.
right? This other gentleman took down trees that were across the street, and not to mention, and this is, I think, crucial to the argument, by the time I showed up, they were all gone. They were all down, every one of them. So, am I saying that it would have been great if he had come in and applied for an RDA? Yes. Was I less concerned because there was a road between what he was doing and the actual resource area? Yes. Did he do any excavation or digging that would cause soil or other material to end up in the resource area? No. All he did was cut down the trees. So,
And in that case, when they come to us with an RDA, it's a very easy process for us to say negative
Absolutely.
determination, thank you very much.
right.
But I agree with
Do I
Jess.
wish he had come to us with an RDA?
What was
Yes.
that you said?
He's-
You agree with him?
he agrees with you. I'm
No,
agreeing with you
no,
that I
I-
wish he had come to us with an RDA.
Yeah.
Well, but.
I'm just telling you, I don't think
Yeah.
it would have changed a whit of what
Yeah.
happened. Not a whit of what happened.
But and again, I'll say, I don't think that's the point. The point is, we should, if we want to be protective of the resource areas, we should have mechanisms in place to do that, to review projects in a manner that's relatively painless for the applicant, and leave it up to each particular, to the merits of each particular case to decide whether we would condition the work, approve
Sure.
it with conditions, approve it without conditions, deny it, require notice of intent. I mean, that's the point of establishing our jurisdiction more clearly and having that process be followed more consistently.
We're exactly on the same page. My argument at this point is we don't have that, which is why
Right,
I'm
which is why
I'm
we're talking
telling
about
you that this is
implementing
a
it.
great rep.
But I just don't
Great thing
think,
to do going forward.
but I don't think evaluating any of these things on the basis of, well, how would it have affected this particular property that
It seems to be what we keep coming back to.
yeah, I know. It,
So that's why I'm addressing it that way. If it would drop, I'd drop
maybe
it.
I should
But
be
we're
looking at
not
this
dropping it.
and making my point.
If we're going to keep going with it, I'm going to keep going with
Gotcha.
it.
So,
Up until
Is
my
there
time,
another
that
one
was-
that's highlighted in here about trees?
no, but
Are you sure?
what I would say would be, maybe before we, instead of going too late tonight, is just, go through this and see what might be useful for us to borrow.
Steal
Right.
outright. There's no reason not to steal it outright.
Right.
Well, I think we're pretty much starting from scratch based on what our bylaw currently is kind of useless.
Right,
Right.
so, but I think this one was cited at the last year's MACC,
Oh.
that is a really uniquely complete one.
All right, so
Which is why I
let's
went to Sudbury.
so let's do this. I'm going to take this document here. I'm going to turn it over.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm going to write on the back things that we're interested in. So one of the primary things that we've discussed repeatedly, and I know this is a big one, is upland areas, right?
Mhm.
So upland areas and how they're affected. So this discussion that we've been in
Mhm.
is part of that. Okay?
Yeah, and that does go into detail on that earlier on too.
Okay,
Page
so we have
11.
upland areas,
Yep.
we have tree removal. Which I would even, again, I would add to what they have here because they don't clearly identify that their tree removal is, they don't have any specificity about buffer zone versus actual resource area.
Right.
I like the vernal pool habitat, and I know someone who's excited about that kind of thing. I'd certainly like to read about this intermittent stream. Because this is very interesting. They note that intermittent streams are important for storm damage prevention, flood control, groundwater protection, wildlife habitat, recreation values, disperse snowmelt and storm runoff. And so they say, during all seasons, they act as essential quarters for animal movement. For these reasons, the upland areas surrounding intermittent streams are heavily utilized, and accordingly, this bylaw protects intermittent streams in all forms. Regulation section 9.9. Did I miss something? Right, this is the regulations. So they reference regulation section 9.9, but 9.9 is a wet detention basin.
Yeah. Well, maybe their August revision needs to be revised. Yeah.
Well, that's okay, they have two 9.9s, so. Well, it is a wet detention basin. A detention basin designed to hold water for at least 2 continuous months during spring or summer. Well, that's certainly related. But this says that a wet detention basin is considered a constructed wetland and not acceptable as part of a wetland replication plan. Oh, you know what they did? They bumped it. Look. They have 9.9, then they have 9.9, and then they have 9.10, intermittent stream. An intermittent stream is a defined channel with a hydraulic gradient through which water flows during part of the year in which either flows out of, into, or within a wetland resource under this bylaw. A portion may flow through a culvert or under a bridge. So it's the definition, and it's not 9.9, it's 9.10. So they're saying if it flows to a wetland resource at any time during the year, that they're protecting it. It's an interesting thought. Conservation Commission recognizes two types of intermittent stream. Type 1, stream segments in which continuous standing water disappears for at least 5, but not more than 30 consecutive days annually. Type 2, streams in which continuous standing water disappears for more than 30 days annually. Interesting. All right. Anybody have thoughts on intermittent streams as protected under this bylaw?
Wouldn't this be good for food for thought? Because I wouldn't mind having, I think Lee's input would also be good to have,
I would agree, except today, because she's sick.
because she's sick.
I don't want any of that input in this room.
Her streams are running.
Probably not intermittently either.
I would definitely agree that we would want to have something, some kind of definition of what an intermittent stream is and how that would fit within our bylaw and our regulations.
Did you not find their definition to be enough?
No, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm not seeing it broken out in these categorized in this way, but I mean it's certainly one way to do it. I don't know.
Well, I'm assuming that's based on isn't that based on the DEP definition?
No, not really. The DEP definition, as far as streams goes, is if it's mapped here with if it's shown as perennial on the USGS map, it's perennial, and you have to prove otherwise if you want to make it a case that it's not perennial.
Right.
And that's the burden of that is on the applicant. And then for intermittent streams, they're not regulated by the Riverfront Act.
Right.
And so then this is where it becomes important, if you want to regulate them, to define what they are and how you're going to regulate them. But at least 5 but not more than 30 consecutive days, type 1, versus 30
Well,
or more consecutive. That's
basically this is everything. That's what this says.
Well, right. So in Groton, the way the Groton bylaw is, it basically says that any intermittent stream, and it basically defines intermittent stream as just any channel, essentially, can be, at the discretion of the commission, regulated to the full extent of the river. Essentially, can have a 200-foot riverfront area associated with it, but it's discretionary, and so again, it becomes a case-by-case basis, and so that can be tricky on one hand, but it also provides flexibility.
I seem to set you up for appeal.
Yeah, right. Right. So that's why I say it can be tricky, and so if we were going to adopt something like this, we would just want to be careful how we do it and try and be as considerate of how we would go, any future constitution of this board would review and apply the regulations in a way that was consistent and made sense. So.
No, so this is one of those places, right, where just the other day we were over at the Family Dollar, right? And what's the real issue there? That whatever's in the parking lot ends up in the water.
Yep.
Now it goes through the storm scepter, but whatever's in the parking lot ends up in the water, and it travels through a non-jurisdictional area to end up in the wetland.
Right.
Okay. Well, I gotta be honest with you. I don't find that non-jurisdictional area to be non-jurisdictional because it's the path into the wetland.
Right.
It's the highway.
Right. And
into
so,
the wetland.
so under a bylaw such as this, we would then have jurisdiction over that
Right.
channel.
Now, so just for informational sake, we worked with the applicant to condition the applicant in such a way that effectively we maintain jurisdiction over that area.
Correct.
Right? We didn't the things that they're doing up above aren't going to affect it, and we requested that they protect the downstream of that area.
Right.
Even though it's not in the jurisdictional area, we made sure that they protected the downstream part of it. So, because what are they gonna be doing? They're gonna be disturbing a lot of soil.
Right.
There's no way around it.
I agree with you, and I'm satisfied with how that worked out.
Right.
One difference, though, is that, at least in terms of how they present or depict the site and present it in their existing conditions, because that would be a jurisdictional resource area, it would also
Sure.
have the buffer zone, which,
Outside of it.
according to their plans, the only buffer zone was associated with the wetland that was off-site.
Sure.
So that could potentially have impacted their project in some way.
No, and it could have. In this particular case, I felt very comfortable
Me too, right.
that the
Right.
extension
Right.
wasn't, no protection was obviated by the lack of jurisdiction over that segment.
I agree with that in that case.
But I agree with
Yeah.
you that there may have been a different circumstance where
It would have been
the
nice
lack
to-
of jurisdiction would have caused a design direction that we wouldn't have been happy with.
Right.
Right.
So that's,
And I was
Yeah.
completely prepared to battle for whatever we needed to make that happen if we needed to.
Sure.
But in this case, it didn't matter.
Right.
We were
And
able
it-
to get what we needed.
right, and they're obviously willing to expedite the process. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. Well, I guess the good news is that really, we weren't asking for anything
Sure,
outrageous.
sure.
Okay. So, I mean, it's not like tree cutting. So, so it's 9:29. So I'm excited to look at some of these areas. So I guess the next question after this, right, would be, what segments do we want to discuss as a group? Do we, and so here's a quandary, a bit of food for thought. Do we want to add to the bylaw segments like this? Or do we want to go through and come up with an entirely new bylaw and try and produce it as one shot? So do we want to try and go to town meeting, for instance, in the fall, not in the spring, because I don't think we can get that done in time at this point. Do we want to go to town meeting in the fall with a list of conditions that we want to add to the bylaw and do that repeatedly? Or do we want to wait until we have a full change to our bylaw with all the segments we're interested in and then produce that provided in one shot? What do you think, Jess?
I'd probably go with trying to rewrite it and produce it in one shot.
Okay, George?
I think that's food for thought.
So I missed it.
I guess I'll have to, I would want to revisit the bylaw that we currently have and maybe get an opinion perhaps from town council as to whether with the existing bylaw that we have, is it written in such a way that if we wanted to propose regulations, which we don't necessarily have to do at town meeting,
Sure.
we just do it through a public hearing process.
Right.
Is there enough in our bylaw to allow us to implement regulations based on the bylaw? I guess that's my,
Well, in that
My
particular case.
first question.
No, sure. I think the best bet for us to do in that case is to forward that to MACC. And the reason is that if we go to our own town council, first off, I'm concerned that it will take a longer time and that they might not be the right people to make that decision because it's not something that they do regularly. Whereas council at MACC might be able to give us a better opinion because that's what they do. And that fellow we met, and his name went out of my head, Phil something, back in Lowell. What was that, like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
More than that.
6?
as long as-
He said at that time that, anything that we wanted to do, just run by them. And,
Mhm.
he said, that was a big part of what he
But,
did. was
yeah, that's fine.
evaluation of that. No, I'm not,
That's-
I'm saying your
Yeah.
idea is great. I just, rather than town council, I think we
That's
might
fine,
be better
yeah.
to.
Just to get I guess, a legal opinion, whether it
Your
comes to.
question is whether there's enough in our bylaw as is that lets us create regulations
Right.
without going to town meeting.
Right,
Right.
because our bylaw, if you remember, is actually found on page 2, section 2 of the Sudbury bylaw, which is, in accordance with this purpose, no person shall remove, fill, dredge, build upon, degrade, pollute, discharge into, etc. So it's the language right out of the,
Yeah,
out
it's
of
very
131,
brief.
section 40.
It's not,
substance is missing.
Yeah, and because of that, it's hard to know whether we have the, I guess, authority or jurisdiction under that bylaw to even implement regulations, local regulations.
No.
But that would be the easiest way to do it, is to have a bylaw already in place that allows us to promulgate regulations and just have them become implementable through a public hearing process as opposed to going to town meeting. So.
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm skeptical, but yeah. I guess it would be good to know if that was even an option.
I would agree.
You're skeptical of anything being able to change?
I'm skeptical that they would give us the authority to write our own regulations.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am too, but it'd be good to hear that from not that I don't trust your judgment on this, but a
I've gone
legal.
to town meeting twice already.
Not with regulations though.
Right, so what Takashi's talking, so actually, I'm agreeing with what I thought you said, which is that I doubt the attorney's going to tell us that our bylaw is substantial enough for us to write regulations.
Well,
not
that
to write.
too.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as going to town meeting, do I think that it will be a tough sell? I think that there will be people who have a lot of questions. Do I necessarily think that it's an end-all, be-all? I would love to help people understand that the basis of the majority of what we're looking to accomplish are for larger projects where a developer is going to come in and he's going to make substantial changes. And unfortunately, sometimes those developers don't hold up their end of the bargain. And so the idea is to create regulations that force those developers to protect the property and the properties around that property. So, not saying it's easy, I'm just saying it's what it is. Okay. We're at 9:30.
Right, so I would say just take this, sleep on it. We'll revisit.
I'll probably sleep like a log now that we've read through it.
I'll get a copy to Louise if you can weigh in.
Sure. Stick it in her door.
Yeah,
Just leave it there.
okay. All right.
Anybody? Oh, it's like 3 in a row. Stick, leave, sleep like a log. Come on.
Oh.
Come on. Unbelievable. Seriously, I'm stumped. I would have thought you guys would have gotten all 3 of those.
All right. Okay.
Sorry.
So what do you want to move to next?
Well, let's branch out to 9:30. We had Conservation Administrator job posting. So I spoke to Carly today, and I just need to get that over to them. So I will make efforts to get that done tomorrow.
Okay. On George's, the annual report, I think it's in there.
Yeah.
So that's the final, do we want to keep, question is on office hours, one of them. We were going to determine that. We have not heard anything from Robert. So one question is, what office hours do we want to have? I think we should change Fridays from 10 to 2 because 2 is ridiculous, irrelevant now since town hall closes
Closes at
on
1 o'clock.
Fridays.
Right.
1.
Why don't we do 10 to 1 for both days, and if you stay past 1, then great.
Okay.
That way we're not trying to say Wednesday 10 to 1, 10 to 2, Friday 10 to 1. That just seems silly.
And then on the second page, I added a couple of lines. Second paragraph, just added in that if allowed to continue, the beaver dams could cause flooding of town property, as happened with a partial washout of Oak Ridge Drive in 2011.
Sure? No, that makes perfect sense.
And then the next paragraph down in the middle.
The commission engaged a contractor to install water level control devices, which they then subsequently damaged in Long Pond and Rock Meadow Pond, right?
But saved a beaver. Saved a beaver.
Surprised you didn't put the picture in there.
Fireman Steve. And then the next paragraph, land management, I added in the commission funded the printing of a trail map prepared by the Greenway Committee that is available to the public at the trailheads on Oak Ridge Drive and Groton Harvard Road. Is that okay?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, are there any left?
That'll be a discussion at one of our next hearings, should we, I'll talk to Steve. So I can, this has to go back to Cindy before February 2nd, so if we're all in agreement, I will put that in.
I'm excited about it. Takashi? George?
Okay.
Thank you very much for your alterations.
Okay, something to look at down the road, not today, because it's 9:37.
7.
The goals and objectives, the
Oh,
the Open Space and Recreation Committee met the other night, last night, Tuesday night, and going through all their action plans and their ideas, going through the past plan and all the ideas for things they could do in the future, and who the implementation managers were for some of their goals. Notice the Conservation Commission, otherwise known as CC, was referenced a lot back in 2005. So I thought that would be worth us looking at in more detail at some point, because if we wanted to have input into what did or did not get put on to us in the future, it might be good to.
well, here's interesting. So we did actually act on conservation restrictions. They weren't necessarily within Zone 2, but we acted on conservation restrictions where they were offered to us.
Great.
We do have a wetland protection bylaw, which we didn't know about in 2004, but quickly we're happy about finding out. Expand the purview of conservation to encourage a comprehensive approach to water resource management. We're in the process of performing that study.
Right.
Consider water conservation bond. I'm not sure how that would work.
Me neither.
Partner with the town of Littleton, Spectacle Pond Association, PACE, and other conservation organizations to purchase land protecting the Spectacle Pond wells. I think all that area is owned by the town.
Yeah.
I don't know what other area you could purchase over there other than to, like where Chris Hillman is, right?
Yeah.
I think his is the only house that's even close. Everything else is over the hill.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But then,
So this is a direct shot at Chris?
no. This was 2005.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's the only house that's there. Wait, it keeps going?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so there were a lot of, so I'd just say take a look at it. We could discuss this at another time, but, you know,
Mini French.
I don't think anybody knew what that was.
It's on the back of the second page.
Oh, that's in Nemco Way.
It says develop management and monitoring plans for the Erskine, Mini French, NE Milling, and Tith properties.
Yeah. Somebody said Mini French was in the Nemco Way area, but nobody had anything about the TIF properties.
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
Yeah. Anybody have an idea what APO would stand for?
Use local wetland bylaw to require conservation restrictions in the APO. The ACEC. I was going to say, unless it was related to the ACEC.
Yeah.
APO. Well, I'm guessing A is area. I don't know what PO stands for. I'm going to do. It applies.
It's not listed in the abbreviations section.
Really? They have an acronym section?
Yeah, but it's not in there.
Yeah.
ACEC management plan. Sweet mother of Moses. Contact private landowners about donating easements.
I'm guessing that APO has to do some, has to do with aquifer protection, but I don't know what,
No, I think that probably makes the most sense. I don't know what O is.
I don't either.
Thank you, Jess. I agree. This is food for thought.
Food for thought, just what we want to get implicated in. On the issue of fixed assets, we've had, in the past, we've signed this sheet before it went back to Lisa, the commission signed it off on it. But in between, we had looked at that before, and then asked Steve Mulaney, and he sent us a document with the quitclaim deed for parcel, what was it, H2, that was conveyed to conservation, to the town through the Conservation Commission. So is that something that should be on our fixed asset sheet? That's the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If they say we own it, then it should be on our, we should know about it and have it listed.
Right, this is when we got through
That was the EPA.
their settlement with EPA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's their parcel H2, but it doesn't, does it say what the town identifies it as?
Yeah.
So at this point, the only thing we can do we can turn this over and then the assessors will have to identify the parcel.
Mhm.
Because it says, said area is located at the corner of parcel H2. So they, common pertinences of parcel H2. Everything in here is just referencing the plan, the piece on their on their plan.
Right.
So presumably, the assessors took the parcel, and as the developer broke it up, they named each section of the parcel. So we need help to get definition of what H2 means.
Assessor's office across the
Right
top.
there.
Okay.
Right, because if you think about it, right, all these others, I mean, these don't actually say it on them very well. Unless it's these designations 019/014 or 019/028. I don't know if that's book and page
Yeah.
for the town. These are the only numbers on here.
And the town designation is different.
Right. So, I don't know what it is. I just didn't know if that was a
It's a county number.
abbreviation.
So we need a
County
town
number.
designation.
No, yeah, it could be, could be.
Okay. So I'll check with the assessor's office and bring that back for,
Well, because otherwise,
Is it-
based on what we're seeing right here, description would just be land parcel H2.
so I will revisit that.
Well, I tell you what, we can certainly sign this and say that we agree with the addition of this parcel H2.
Okay,
Can I write that on there?
right.
So does anybody have any other questions or any reason to not sign off on this fixed asset for our great commission? I would accept a motion to sign the fixed asset sheet with the inclusion of the H2 parcel for addition later by the town.
So moved.
Second?
Let's get your pen.
With inclusion of parcel H2. What did you just say?
With the inclusion of parcel H2 by the town at a later time. So in other words,
Right,
I'm putting on here, please include parcel H2, and then
okay. Okay.
I didn't even ruin it. I have terrible luck with those felt pens,
Yeah.
especially the fine ones. Thank you. Okay. Did you have anything else on the fixed assets?
Nope, and fixed assets.
Okay. So we added our open meeting law complaint response to the agenda. So the Office of the Attorney General wrote to Brian W. Riley, who is the attorney with Copeman and Page, who responded. They wrote and they said, Dear Attorney Riley, This office received a complaint from Mrs. Jean Hoffman Anuda dated November 10th, alleging that the Conservation Commission violated the open meeting law. I will skip to relevant parts. Said, following our review, we find that the commission violated the open meeting law by failing to include sufficient detail in the meeting notice. However, we find that the commission did not deliberate outside of an open meeting. In reaching a determination, we reviewed the original complaint, commission's response, and the request for further review filed with our office. We also reviewed the meeting notice and open session minutes for a meeting of the commission held on August 28th. So they go through facts portion, talked about how the DEP file numbers were listed but not specific addresses. And they stated that they felt that did not contain sufficient detail regarding the orders of condition. What was interesting is they note that we could have actually signed it without appearing in the meeting. So, as a ministerial act, we have previously stated that a purely ministerial act such as signing a document may take place outside of a meeting when the terms have previously been discussed and approved during a meeting. Here, the terms in the order of conditions were agreed upon years earlier, and the commission could likely have signed the orders outside of a meeting. But because we signed them during the meeting, and we knew that we would sign them more than 48 hours in advance, we were under the obligation to provide sufficient notice. So, the lesson there is that all of our information in our agenda should include the address of the town, of the parcel, even though it's ministerial signing. And where possible, if we have signings that can be done outside of town meeting, that's what we'll do. Also, for strange reason, even though I spoke to the attorney, they note on here that we had 14 days. I spoke to the attorney immediately afterwards. It says we should have responded no later than October 14th, but then it says that our letter arrived dated October 23rd.
Right.
So I don't understand that.
I think that was town council, right?
Yeah. So they take this opportunity to remind us of our obligations. Says, conclusion, for the reasons stated above, we find the commission violated the open meeting law by failing to include sufficient detail in a meeting notice. We order the commission's immediate and future compliance with the open meeting law, and we caution the commission that future similar violations may be considered evidence of intent to violate the open meeting law. We now consider the complaint addressed by this determination to be resolved. This determination does not address any other complaints that may be pending with our office. Please feel free to contact the division if you have any questions. Last page says this determination was issued pursuant to general law, Chapter 30A, Section 23C. A public body or any member of a body aggrieved by this order may obtain judicial review through an action filed in Superior Court. Complaint must be filed in Superior Court within 21 days of receipt of this order.
Now, next thing. See these little green things that you got?
Yes.
Apparently we are required to tear off the last page and sign that we have received these. Very last page. George,
I did one for historical.
did you do one for conservation?
I have both historical and conservation on.
It wasn't recorded. I'll do it again.
I just did it last night.
Oh, okay, never mind. All right.
Just like a dog and a bone tonight.
I'm giving her all that power.
Me?
Yeah.
Wait, disagreeable self.
Can I steal your pen? Twenty-one, 22.
22.
Thank you. We're having a big discussion today because our customer, wonderfully, 1 month into the new quarter, has finally decided what they want to do. So naturally, everyone's now behind.
Okay.
Spectacular.
Let's make one comment on this open meeting law complaint. The very first fact under the facts, we find the facts as follows. The commission is a 6-member body charged with the blah, 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 blah.
We are fired.
I don't know that we'd call that a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have this from the ZBA, the town of Sumner, whatever.
Wow. Are you familiar with that picture of historic Ayer?
Yeah.
Yeah? I've never seen that. Have you seen that?
Which one?
Historic Ayer. So there's houses where the post office used to be.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Cool.
That's really nifty. Did you see it?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, not that clearly.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Take it you didn't buy the book on that the historical commission put out.
I never noticed that.
I didn't even know there was a book historical commission put out that I could buy.
Yeah.
How do I get it?
Try down at what used to be Kelly's.
Okay. They sell it? Or do you think they sell it?
Kelly's used to sell it. I don't know if the new person sells them.
Gotcha.
You can try Barnes and Noble. You know, there's one for every town. You see them in the
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
books.
I've been thinking about doing one that talks about the etymology of the town. Did you know that the town of Clinton was formed because of industrial operation, just like the town of Lowell? The town of Clinton used to be a part of Lancaster. And these brothers, the Bigelows, came from West Boylston, and they invented a process for making carpet runners, which at the time were made very slowly by hand. And first they had a building, and then they built a bigger building, they built a factory, and then they actually incorporated the town of Clinton based upon the fact that Bigelow carpets. And they were actually very famous at the time. The town of Clinton, you know what it's named after? A hotel in Albany that they liked. You think about that one. And of course, we all know why Lowell's named Lowell.
Why?
Francis Cabot Lowell,
Oh, well, yeah.
who was an industrial spy who went to England, stole the secrets for how they were manufacturing cloth, and came back, duplicated the machine by memory, because you weren't allowed to, take notebooks or anything in, and formed a company in Waltham, passed away after the company was started, and when they created Lowell with all of its cotton cloth factories, it was named after him. Interestingly, Henry just did an excellent project as part of his thing on the war capitalism that was all founded out of cotton. And it's actually pretty fascinating. Just so you know, these are free. That's weird. How is that even possible? It says, notice must be sent to certified abutters for towns, and it says Shirley. Abutting towns?
Yes. For ZBA decisions.
Do you have to tell the town next door that you're planning for zoning relief?
I think the decisions have to be sent to towns once the action has been resolved, whatever.
It's just odd. I mean, it
Yeah.
couldn't be farther from Shirley.
If it's on the
It's
Littleton side of there,
right?
yes. Right.
Interesting. Cargill, having a usual place of business at 15407 McGinty Road, West Wataza, Minnesota. Interesting. Paid $11.9 million for 35 Nemco Way. Interesting. What exactly are they trying to do? Did you have a look at this?
No, not really.
Okay, well, looks like they want to add rails to the existing railroad. Warehouse doesn't change, pond doesn't change. Nemco Way off of Westford Road doesn't change. Which one is this one? Interesting. Looks like the only thing they want to do is add railroad tracks. And a new tank farm. Interesting. So 3 new sets of rail tracks, pumps, and a tank farm for offloading whatever's in the tanks. So of interest to me, pretty much immediately is, there's a picture of a pond. Right next to where all the work is specified.
So they'd have to do an MLA.
Well, we need an RDA, because if that pond is really a detention basin, then it's not a pond. But we want to go see it. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Do you want to take a look at it? Did you see what I saw?
I did see the photographs.
Yeah, it's just railroad tracks that they're adding in a tank farm along the back side of the building.
But, which, I'm just having, is there a locus map, I guess? is my
Yeah,
question.
as you drive on Westford Road,
Yep,
Nemco Way is on your right.
yep.
The building before Nemco Way, this is the building before. See it? Here's Nemco Way. So if you were to turn onto Nemco Way, the building where you turn
Okay.
on your right, in the corner. I'm
So-
having a hard time picturing it, but
Yeah, so where they're adding the railroad tracks, that's coming off of, that's not coming off the big loop, is it?
yeah, that's what it shows.
Isn't that all Woodland in there? Sorry.
Well, interestingly enough, they don't say. They just say that it's parcel town of Ayer.
Because I think all of that track work would be jurisdictional as well.
Certainly would
If
be.
I'm thinking of the right place.
Yeah. I can't tell you for sure.
Mhm.
Actually, why don't you pop that baby open?
So when we went to see, I think it was Kennard's
Warehouse.
contractor condominiums or whatever that was. That was, I guess,
But was that off Nemco? Or was that off the other one? I thought it was off New England.
Yeah,
okay. So maybe I'm thinking of something different.
No, you're in the. It's okay to get like hickory and hemlock mixed up. It's fine.
There.
It just happens. So here's Westford Road.
I know there's one of those
Which one's
roads
which?
that comes after where there's a railroad. I don't think spur's the right word. It's like a loop, and it's all wet in the middle of that.
yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
agree with you.
oh.
I just can't tell what's what here.
Yeah.
I think based on the age, I think that's Nemco Way.
Okay.
Because Nemco Way was there for a long time, right?
Okay.
And
there's that
Nemco Way
problem.
comes down and hits where the railroad tracks
Yeah.
are, and that's where all the huge silos are.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's definitely not this one.
Okay.
Right? Because Nemco Way turns. This feels like Nemco Way,
Okay.
unless I've got it backwards.
Yeah.
But either way, I think you're right. There may be wetlands in between where all that is, but
Mhm.
they've clearly marked on it, it says pond.
Yeah.
So let's just start with,
RDA is fine. Yep.
there's something going on there. So at a minimum, they need an RDA. They may, so that's what I'm gonna, still that.
Didn't I give you a pen?
I gave it back.
You did?
Did George steal it?
You might have.
I actually handed it to George.
I just kind of threw it that way.
Okay. Please return to the town by the review deadline date, February 5th. So I'm going to put modifications needed. And what I'm going to put is that based on noted resource areas, applicant is required to file with Conservation Commission. I'm not going to specify RDA or NOI.
While you were writing that, somebody stopped in from the gun club. They're thinking of putting an addition on the back of the building over an already disturbed area, so I think extending. So,
Toward the
within-
ponds?
Yeah, it's within 75 feet of the pond, so.
Sure.
I gave them our little wetland information packet and said that would probably be an NOI. But,
Even though those ponds are clearly man-made.
or they should think of it. But what I basically said, look at that, because that, you should have, if you're doing a big project, then you have somebody, like an engineering firm, look at it, and then they would determine if there are wetlands in proximity or not.
Yep.
So. And I gave them the general time frame, so.
Applicant is required to file with the Conservation Commission based on the resource area denoted on the plan. And thank goodness I do my 4s the way I do, because I can make them into 5s easily as I start to write them. Okay. Is that the end of your office updates? Because we're after
Yeah.
10.
I know, you have announcements, nothing too big, but. if you
Oh,
want to
let's see
look
what we
at-
have.
Yeah, actually, that was it for me.
Judy Schmitz, February 2nd. Ooh, Groton Public Library hosting a presentation about various options for private land owners to manage and make informed decisions about their land. Chapter 61, Conservation Restrictions, Agricultural Restrictions, Wetlands, and Tax Consequences. Anybody interested in this?
Should be added to the public spirit.
Say that again?
Should be in the public spirit.
I hope so, so I'm taking this one. I know just who to drag with me.
There was Olin called.
When?
Oh, I'm sorry, February 4th.
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday.
Sunday's the first.
No, I was trying to figure out, I think that's a Wednesday I have free. Noah has been, as soon as I told Noah that owning a farm would involve driving a skid steer, that was pretty much the end of that. Wouldn't you want a 4-wheel or 2? Naturally. Okay, I'm not sure what to read with the other one, there's 25 things on it.
I know.
Okay, do you have any CPC updates?
No, I was not able to attend the meeting this month.
All right, we have no stormwater pond and dam. Greenway,
No meeting.
We are currently via email initiating consideration of a calendar of events for this coming calendar year.
excellent. Makes
But-
sense.
But nothing even proposes of that.
Do you have any member updates, Jess?
No, I've been occupied.
George?
No.
No? Any comments or questions, Mike?
Nothing from the peanut gallery tonight.
Then I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.